Welcome back to another episode of Into the 99, where we've got 99 cards, because Commander's number one. I am one of your hosts, Daniel. I'm joined today with Thunder. Thunder, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. A little tired, prepping for a convention on the weekend, but otherwise all good.
You said that. What kind of convention?
It's a different kind of MagicCon. Seems like there's a bit of competition for the name here in Germany, but this one's been going for some time. It's more of like a Lord of the Rings fantasy con.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. Should be a fun time then, hey?
I hope so. I may have made a few mistakes, though. I felt a bit generous with the photo sessions with the actors and actresses, and I may have chosen to do too many.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah.
We're going to be running from photo booth to photo booth. So.
Is it like a big like kind of cosplay kind of thing, or is it like fantasy con kind of thing? Like what's the event?
So typically they've been focusing around Lord of the Rings.
Okay. Yeah.
So they've got some of the actors and actresses from that, the various movies and series. I'm a little disappointed they don't have all the big names, but you can't always get everybody.
That's fair, yeah.
Schedules, so
my sister-in-law works in massage and stuff, and they, for the big like events they do in Calgary, like the Comic-Con and stuff, they buy a bunch of them. Like they basically pay out a ton of massage therapists to like help like the bigger star people like kind of relax and everything. Like, oh, here, come do this. You get your guys' massages and everything. So she's got to meet like so many of those like big famous like famous big name people, because they just have like on-site massage, right? So it's really cool to meet them. But she's like got to see kind of like a behind the scenes like visit them, which is nice. It's nice that they like take care of people that way and stuff. So they've actually been throwing like the way that they've been doing conventions the last few years has been awesome. Like they've really been able to put more and more into it. So I hope it's a really, really good weekend.
Yeah. I think like a lot of the talks will be in German, which I might struggle with, but it's like they also have the actors and actresses have panels and things. So you got to kind of get your photo, then go to the talk, and then it might conflict with another photo session. That's my problem.
Yeah. Cause you want to sit for all the actual talks and stuff, right?
Yeah. You want to hear people tell their experience. And it's not just Lord of the Rings. They've got some other series. I think, what's it, Shadow and Bone or something?
Yeah.
And a couple other ones. But we'll see how it goes. And if it's something maybe I'll do again in the future. I'm a little hesitant now. It was a bit expensive. And it's the kind of convention where they literally like the whole hotel is just for the convention.
So it's a big event. Yeah.
Yeah. And we didn't know that, so we actually booked in a separate hotel. And if I was to do this again, probably I would book the hotel and just then spend the time there.
Yeah, kind of maybe get that extra exposure and stuff. I think it'd be nice though to just get away and not be in the super crowded parts too.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yes. Yeah. Today we're doing Wildsear. So I'll pop that up over here. Wildsear is it's really interesting, one of the calamity beasts. It is from the pre-con, which was interesting. Wildsear is 3/1 green, 1 red for a 6/6 elemental wolf. It has trample, and it gives enchantments cast from your hand have cascade, which is, I think, pretty interesting.
Definitely.
The big problem is we don't have a ton of I guess we do have a little bit of the draw enchantment stuff.
Yeah, so there are a number of just the plain green enchantress creatures that can draw you cards.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of like, do you want to go too heavy into that? Because there's quite a lot of ways to gain advantage. If you go the full enchantress route, it's usually green and white, but in this case we're going green and red. And what's interesting here is because it's cascade, it's also the cascaded spell is a cast from exile.
Mm-hmm.
So you can gain advantage from casting an enchantment, but also casting something from exile.
Yeah.
And I think there's maybe 3 or 4 brew sort of cast from exile staples that we can go with. and about the same enchantress types, which will draw you cards. I think maybe because the commander is a bit expensive, like 5 mana, which it's not a bad deal for what you're getting, but still a 5 mana commander you maybe cast twice in a game. Especially if someone's going after you. So you really want to have a lot of ramp in this. So you might be a little bit less card draw and a little bit more ramp. In my initial research, I was like, well, there's kind of 2 types of ramp that we're going for potentially. And there's actually like you could go very heavy ramp, like 20 plus. And I think you can even just say, well, currently we've got a Soul Ring just because it's one of those test things we do when we set up the deck initially. But we probably don't need to play artifacts at all in this build. And interestingly, there is a enchantment version of a Wayfarer's Bauble. So we could like just go like full enchantments here, very pure.
I like the idea of trying to stay away from artifact ramps. An easy way to get it out too, right? Like you said.
Yeah. I mean, super powerful Soul Ring into Gruul Signet, Arcane Signet. It's just that's the easy way. But
so look at some of our enchant lands, I guess. Thinking about that, so probably a good way to put mana in is that enchanted land stuff.
Yeah. So maybe something to touch on here is, so we're looking to cascade. We probably don't want anything that's an X spell because that's not going to cascade very well. And what we can do is we play a bigger enchantment, like let's say, I'm trying to look for one on my list that's 3 mana, maybe Omen of the Hunt.
Okay, yeah.
And so when you do an Omen of the Hunt, then you'll cascade into something that's 2 mana or 1 mana. So then you will need to make sure you've got enough 1 mana enchantments or 2 mana enchantments. And obviously the cascade doesn't care if it's a enchantment or not. It's just you need to have spells that are cheaper. But I did find some interesting enchantments for 1 mana that can help us with our ramp.
I never really, just quickly to interrupt there, I don't look at things before we live brew. We say we're brewing Wildsear, and I'm like, all right, let's brew Wildsear while we go. And looking at this, I've got some really, really cool ideas. Like I would have initially taken this very heavy into the, like, I want to ramp my creature out. Let's get our fire diamonds. Let's get our arcane signets. I would have gone a very, very different route. So I'm really excited with this new change of like, let's actually get them, let's get it pure to the commander's thing, right? Because like you said, you don't want to whiff. The worst thing we can do on it is we don't want to whiff our commander's ability. Yeah. So I think it's pretty cool. So like, what did you have in mind for some 1 mana enchantments?
Let me just grab. I mean, there's the obvious one, which is Wild Growth.
Yep.
So that's like a pretty popular one that's been used for a long time. So it reads Enchantment Aura, Enchant Land. It costs 1 green to cast it, and whenever enchanted land is tapped for mana, its controller adds an additional green.
Yep, I like it.
So the downside of it is that it doesn't fix you, but the upside is that it's like a Llanowar Elf. It's just a little mana dork. And if you use it correctly, it's maybe a little bit better than a Llanowar Elf, because if you've got 2 lands out, then you can just put it onto any land, like a mountain or whatever, and then now that mountain produces a red and a green, and then you're good.
Yeah. I just threw an Abundant Growth in the list for that same vein, also giving us that card draw, which is kind of nice. Yep. This one, it's... no, 1 second, sorry. My thing has just come unmuted. There we go. Professionalism. So Wild Growth, or Abundant Growth, sorry, is a 1 green enchantment. When it enters, you draw a card, and it has enchant land, add 1 mana of any color. You're kind of a little safe with these enchant land ramps because people tend to not go after your lands in Commander.
Yeah.
Right? Like people kind of leave your lands alone. and people don't really run a huge pack of enchantment removal in decks a lot of times. So I think unless somebody is running a mass removal package, like we're probably pretty safe in this list.
Yeah. So I would not classify the Abundant Growth as ramp.
You want it as a draw?
I would call it draw, because what it's doing is drawing you a card and then it's fixing your mana. It's not ramping you, but it's still a reasonable.
Oh, okay. It doesn't. It just fixes. It doesn't add an extra one. Yeah, let's do that. Let's make it a draw category.
Yeah. And so it's possible we're going to go up against people playing Wraths, things like Farewell and all that. So we will want to diversify a little bit in terms of how we're ramping. So it's nice to have things like the enchantments, because we can have those cheap options that we can sort of cascade into. But also, if we have a couple other types of things that can happen, like put a land onto the battlefield, and this is the one that I was kind of alluding to earlier. It's called Font of Fertility. It's the sort of Wayfarer's Bauble replacement for enchantment, and it says you pay 1 and a green, sacrifice Font of Fertility, search your library for a basic land card and put into the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. So that's actually pretty neat. It's roughly the same amount of mana. You just need more green.
Yeah, I like it. Well, it kind of far seeks you, right?
Yeah, but it puts it on the battlefield, so it's pretty useful.
Yeah, Farseek does that too, right? The 2 mana go search the land.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I was thinking there are these other artifacts that they just
no.
Yeah,
the bauble doesn't do it. That'd be crazy. The bauble would be awesome.
So that's that puts the land on the battlefield. And then another thing we can do, because we're going to be playing permanents, is we can go with something like the Goblin Anarchomancer. And what that does is it's a creature, so a red and a green, 2/2, and a Goblin Shaman, and each spell you cast that's red or green costs 1 less to cast. Which is pretty useful. And it's like we're kind of hedging our bets here. We're saying, okay, well, if they're going to destroy all of our enchantments, we'll still have our creatures. If they're going to destroy all of our creatures, we'll still have our lands. So we don't fall too far behind if someone tries to wrath all the things.
Okay. I'm looking for, what's the name of the creature that taps for the number of enchantments you have?
Actually have it in my prep list, but I'm not seeing it. It's probably right in front of my eyes. Sanctum Weaver.
Yeah. Sanctum Weaver is gonna kill it in this deck.
Yeah. So Sanctum Weaver, 1 and a green for enchantment creature Dryad, which is really neat. We do want to have that sort of what we can call sub-theme of enchantment creatures in the deck. And it taps to add X mana of any one color, where X is the number of enchantments you control.
I like it. What do we think of did you look at any of these hidden cards?
Hidden cards.
Yeah, so there's a small cycle here, and it's there's 5 of them. They're green ones. So we have hidden gibbons, gorillas, herd, predators, and spiders. And I'll read some of these. So let's look at hidden herd first. It's a 1 green enchantment. Whenever one of your opponents plays a non-basic, if it's an enchantment, it becomes a 3/3 that counts as a beast. So we can basically get our enchantment. It's still going to work for our cast. If anyone drops any non-basic, which in a commander game, pretty likely someone's going to, a 3/3 turn 1 is a pretty big beater to get out. You know, like if we put that out, it might deter people a little bit. Basically all of those cards work this way. So the gibbons is whenever one of your opponents successfully casts an instant spell. If it's an enchantment, it becomes a 4/4 green ape. Gorillas is if they cast an artifact and it's an enchantment, it becomes a 5/3 creature. 5/3 creature with trample that counts as a soldier. So again, if we're the first turn on the play, we drop a turn 1 hidden gorillas, and somebody brings out an early, like even with the controversy of the week, that someone drops a Jeweled Lotus, we've got a 5/3 on deck for 1 mana to run them down with, right?
Yeah, sounds pretty good.
The hidden herd is the non-basic land. Hidden predators is if they control a creature with power 4 or more, it becomes a 4/4 beast. And spiders is if they cast a creature with spiders, it becomes a 3/5 creature that can block with flying. I kind of like this hidden cycle because it gives us a lot of early beaters, and they're really, really they're something that we're always gonna hit, right? Because I assume we're gonna run into a lot of really good. We're gonna run into really good 2 and 3 drops, right?
Yeah.
So I think we're probably going to. Is there any 0 cost enchantments? That would be the cool one.
Now, these work very interestingly with Bellow, which I wouldn't want to put into the deck. It is the Bellow deck that you get the calamity in, but Wildsear. But it's just interesting because Bellow turns your non-aura enchantments into 4/4 elemental indestructibles, but only on your turn.
Yeah, so these would be pretty big.
Yeah, very, very interesting interaction there. But I mean, you could still put Bellow in just for the card draw aspect, but the reason why I might not go with a Bellow here, first is sometimes I don't like playing what is a good commander
twice,
in another commander's deck. It just feels a bit like I'm not doing justice to Bellow if I do that.
Yeah.
This is, I was telling you before, maybe I'll give the little lecture on what's a sub-theme versus
theme and sub-theme, yeah.
So just at the basics, this also ties into this 8x8 EDH system of mine that I've been working on. Basically, we have a strategy recipe. The strategy recipe has 8 slots. You don't have to fill all of them. You can fill up to 8. That's the sort of upper limit. And each strategy gets a name that's meaningful and a number total next to it, which is your amount of cards that you're aiming to build towards. So you can start off with a sort of a template that says we're going to have 12 card draw, 12 ramp, 12 removal. But then I realized that there's going to be situations where maybe I want a strategy that's like some artifacts or slivers or something like that. But it didn't quite work. Like when doing the initial tests of my decks, I was like, okay, but if I have 30 slivers in here, then I'm not really getting a meaningful metric out of this. Like, how do I know what I'm going to change if I need to change something during testing?
Yep.
Okay, I just reduced by 10 slivers or something, but that doesn't tell me what exactly I'm reducing other than the slivers. And that's when I added this concept of a sub-theme, which is something that can apply across multiple strategies, but doesn't work very well as a metric. So yes, you want to have lots of slivers, and maybe in this case, we want to have lots of enchantment creatures. But that's not something that I actually want to track necessarily. What I want to track is what those things actually do. Like some of the slivers might be anthems, like they're boosting all the other slivers with increased power or toughness. Some of them might be protection or evasion, make things unblockable or something.
Yep.
So those are metrics that I really do want to track, but I still want to acknowledge the sub-theme and say, okay, this is the trend that I'm following when I'm picking cards. Like I'm going to pick something that's an enchantment and it's a creature, or has the potential to be that. And then I'll try and make more meaningful strategies that identify what exactly that thing is doing. And so what we can do that or use in this case is we have a type of mechanic that's called bestow. So bestow is kind of like, you could see that as a sub-theme more than a strategy, because the bestow, that the thing that you're doing to the creatures may be a little different, depending on what specific bestow creature we're playing with. And there were a number of bestow creatures that I put on my list. I thought these ones would actually work quite nicely. And what bestow basically is it gives you the ability to either cast that enchantment creature as a creature or as an enchantment aura, so onto your commander potentially. And because this is a very big trampling wolf, elemental wolf,
Yep.
we could bestow onto Wildsear, making Wildsear very scary.
Yeah,
bestow
bestow definitely makes it. Yeah. The trample built into the commander can make it so easy to go into like a rundown people theme.
Yeah. Like
Voltron, that's the word.
Yeah, and the other cool thing is it behaves a bit, these bestow creatures behave a bit like equipment. So if you were to then destroy or exile or kill Wildsear, the bestow creature basically falls off. So it becomes a creature again, which is also kind of useful. It's like, okay, I don't just have a plain old aura that's going to the graveyard. I still have my creature after that. So that's still kind of useful to have. And I think maybe I'll give one example of a bestow. There was actually a couple in the modern set that came out recently. So let me just find one of them. I think it's, Detective's Phoenix. So it's a big 6/6. It's a trampler. We're probably going to want to have some means to give haste. And Detective Phoenix can do this. So Detective Phoenix is 2 and a red for a 2/2 flying haste Phoenix creature. And I'll just try and read the stuff from top to bottom. They've changed the way the bestow is written. So you can bestow it for red and collect evidence 6.
Mm-hmm.
So to pay this bestow cost, you can pay a red and then exile cards with a total mana value of 6 or greater from your graveyard. So that's pretty neat. And it's nice that it keeps it cheap, because the old bestows, they were very expensive usually. Like you'd pay like 5 or 6 mana just to do the bestow. And so that's the alternative cost. If you're going to cast it as the aura side, or the aura mode, let's say.
Yep.
And if it's enchanting a creature, the creature gets +2/+2. So that plus is usually matching whatever the power and toughness of the creature is. And the flying and haste. So you can bestow it onto Wildsear, giving +2/+2, flying and haste, which is really powerful.
Well, the nice thing too is that it can also just be hit with Wildsear's ability, right? Because it's an enchantment, it can come out itself too that way, which is great possible free cast.
Exactly. Yeah.
I have been. Oh, you finish it. Go ahead.
Just the last bit of text there, just to complete the card, is you may cast Detective's Phoenix from your graveyard using its bestow ability.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool because it recovers itself.
I like it. I have thrown a few cards in here that I want to tell you about. So number one, I put in a weird combo. I'm going to move this over to the maybe board, but it's pretty annoying, and it's the card Spreading Algae. It's a 1 mana enchantment. It can enchant only swamps. Whenever an enchanted land becomes tapped, you destroy it. And when it's put into a graveyard from play, you return it to its owner's hand. And then Urborg, because we can add Urborg into it. I think it's a slightly entertaining maybe board combo for a commander this way. We have such access to tutor things out if we want to, that I think that could be an annoying thing. I'm maybe boarding this whole section.
Okay.
And like I said, it's just we'll put it all in maybe board, but I
like that kind of stuff. It's gonna turn some heads, and everyone's gonna be like, "Really? That you can do that?" Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah, so here's my other maybe board one, and then I added a few more things. So I threw in Hidden Ancients, which is another one of those hidden cards because I really really like them. This is whenever they cast an enchantment spell. It's a 2 green, a 1 and 1 green. And it's whenever an opponent casts an enchantment. If this is an enchantment, it becomes a 5/5 and counts as a tree folk. And then Hidden Stag kind of goes back and forth. It's 1 and a green. Whenever an opponent plays a land, if it's an enchantment, it becomes a 3/2 beast. And whenever we play a land, it goes back into an enchantment. So we can kind of save it from wraths if we need to. And then I added Shaper Sanctuary just because if people want it to remove anything, whenever a creature you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. Just a little more obscure kind of card draw and stuff. And then I wanted to finish out that ramp section with the Utopia Sprawl and Unbridled Growth.
Okay.
Utopia Sprawl and Unbridled. I can't spell.
Yep.
There we go. Unbridled Growth.
Do we want to take the Soul Ring out so we
just go really, really full into what we want, a Soul Ringless deck?
Yeah.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
Utopia Sprawl, Unbridled Growth. Because we're only 50 cards in, and we're at a $29 list. And it looks pretty fun to play. And we haven't even, like, I know you have a ton of, like, strategies that you want to get to as well. So I know there's lots of other cool stuff getting to.
Maybe if we talk in a little bit about lands, how about we just put, there's 4 haste lands that we can put in.
Okay. Do you know their names?
The first is Arena of Glory. So Arena of Glory enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a mountain, and it taps for 1 red mana. And you can pay a red and tap to exert the Arena of Glory to add 2 red. If that mana is spent on a creature spell, it gains haste until end of turn. And the interesting thing there is you can split that mana between 2 different creatures, and they both get haste. So
interesting. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, so if you dump it into both creatures, that's cool.
Yeah. I got that from Paul Cheon, watching him draft.
I like it.
And then the next one is Flamekin Village. It's non-basic land, and as it enters the battlefield, you may reveal an elemental card from your hand. If you don't, it enters tapped. Our commander is a elemental, but yeah, I don't know how many other elementals we'll have, so it'll probably always enter tapped.
Mm-hmm.
But it taps for a red, and you can pay a red and tap it, and then target creature gains haste until end of turn.
Yeah.
And then there's another one, which is a little, not too expensive, but it's one of those ones that needs a nice reprint. Hall of the Bandit Lord. Legendary land. Hall of the Bandit Lord enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it, pay 3 life, add 1 to your mana pool. If that mana is spent on a creature spell, that creature has haste. So similar to Arena of Glory. And then the last one, and maybe we want this plus its sort of partner card, but it's Handweir Battlements. So Handweir Battlements can tap for a colorless, and you can pay a red, tap target creature. You pay a red, tap it, target creature gains haste until end of turn. And its second part is the Eldrazi part. So you can pay 3 and 2 red, tap it. If you both own and control Handweir Battlements and a creature named Handweir Garrison, exile them, then meld them into Handweir, the Writhing Township.
Look what Handweir Garrison is quickly. When it attacks, you put 2 red creatures on the battlefield tapped and attacking. I don't think it's enough synergy with our deck. It's pretty good, but
maybe let's look at the flip side to.
Oh yeah, what is their flip side?
So let me just get to that. It's kind of tricky.
Handweir Writhing.
Maxwell, you just had a little rotator, but I can't seem to find it.
Okay, I got it here. So it's a 7/4 trample haste. When it attacks, you put 2 3/2 Eldrazi creatures on the battlefield tapped and attacking. Again, I like it. It's a very good card, but I don't think it's enough for our thing. But we have an elemental wolf. So let's get a Kessig Wolf Run in here.
Oh, yes.
Kessig Wolf Run. Another land there. So just taps for colorless, or X, 1 green, 1 red, target creature gets +X/+O and trample. We already have the trample, but we've got a pretty decent ramp section starting and everything, right? So
yeah, but we can put this on other creatures that won't have it.
That's true.
We're going to have a lot of enchantment creatures.
Yep.
So the one thing that I want to bring up here, which is this whole sub-theme concept, is if we're going to play enchantment creatures like the bestow ones, then we also probably want to have auras. So like aura enchantments more than we want to have just plain enchantments. And what we can connect these with are the creatures that have abilities like heroic. So heroic is basically when a creature becomes the target of a spell you control, then something happens. And there wasn't too many that I thought were really worthy of putting in, maybe only about 4 of them, but one of them is kind of interesting. It's not necessarily a heroic ability, but it's a generator in the sense that, like, one of the things with the Voltron deck is you're going to have one big creature, and maybe that's not enough to stop other people's boards from just constantly attacking into you. So you're probably going to want some way of going wider, so having more creatures. And this card, I always try and find places to put it, but it needs that aura. Like, you need a certain amount of auras to make this work.
Okay.
And that's a Brood Keeper. So Brood Keeper is 3 and a red for a 2/3 human shaman. And whenever an aura becomes attached to Brood Keeper, put a 2/2 red dragon creature token with flying onto the battlefield. It has, and this is referring to the red dragon, pay 1 red. This creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. So
that's cool.
This is actually very cool because it creates flyer blockers that can get bigger if you pump mana into them. And if we're going to have a bit of extra ramp in the deck, then it makes a lot of sense that we'll have finishers in the air that can just get really big.
Yeah.
And with Keswick Wolf Run, we can even give them trample as well. So that's pretty neat.
I just dumped in a bunch of cards that I think are just like kind of missing from the deck before we move. So I got the Detective Phoenix, I got the Brood Keeper. I put a Destiny Spinner in because the ability to turn our lands into elementals with equal to the number of enchantments we have is awesome. That can't be countered is awesome. So do we want to put Brood Keeper and Destiny Spinner into finishers?
Sure.
Okay. So let's do finishers. Let me capitalize this like I'm not 4. Finishers, okay? So we have our Destiny Spinner in finishers. We have our Brood Keeper in finishers. I really like that ability to... do we want to do something like Valduk? I think Valduk also works in a similar way. Let me quickly read Valduk. Valduk is, for each aura and enchantment attached to him, you create a 3/1 red elemental creature with trample and haste. You exile them at the end step. But again, another great spot to dump those.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah, they go away, but I think it's still not bad.
Let's put it in possible finishers. I added the Eidolon of Blossoms for whenever another enchantment enters under your control, you draw a card because we're going to cascade into things, which is awesome. It can be hit with cascade as well, which is nice. Yeah. So throw that over into draw.
It's a charming creature, which is nice. I like that.
Herald of the Pantheon, I did was because it was just like enchantment reduction. It is 1 and a green. Enchantment spells are 1 less to cast. Whenever you cast it, you gain a life. That's all right, but I would consider that a little bit of ramp for us, right?
Yep.
And then I put in the Citizen Champion. Whenever an enchantment enters under your control, you put a 1/1 counter on Citizen Champion and draw a card. So nice little card draw there. And then I put the Viridian. Whenever you cast an enchantment, you draw. So a few extra draw pieces we've got. We want to go more into some auras, you think, now?
Yeah, so maybe a few more of the I'm just looking for where I put mine. I think it's all under prediction and pump.
There was 2 that I wanted to put in here. One was Sunbird's Invocation because that's just what our commander does.
Yeah, it's like doing the same thing again. Yeah. Yeah,
right. That's 5 and a red. Whenever you cast a spell from your hand, reveal the top X cards from your library, where X is the spell's mana cost. You can cast a spell with mana value X or less from among them. So that's another, I guess, free stuff. Is that what we want to call that category?
Yeah.
Free?
Yeah.
And then
you could go with, like, sometimes what I do is I treat that as just an advantage, and then I'll be like, even though I'm calling my strategy draw, I'll put that in there because it's kind of like I'm gaining a card.
I like calling it advantage.
Yeah.
Advantage, okay. Because then it doesn't limit us to free stuff, right?
Yeah.
Anything that's just giving us our advantage. Okay, and then I had one other one. What was the word I was thinking? It was... Oh, why does my brain not work today? I wanted Sunbird's Invocation, and then what else did I want? Oh, Arasta. Arasta, the Endless Web. I just love to put Arasta in basically every deck I can, and it gives us that same kind of thing where we're going to get something for nothing. I'm going to throw that over into advantage. People are casting instant sorceries. We're going to get our spiders, and it's an enchantment we can hit with our commander.
Yep.
So far where is our enchantments? So far, like 32% of our list is an enchantment, which I think is kind of nice.
Yeah. So I've got another one that's a bestow, also recent.
Yeah.
It's gained a bit of value. Spring Heart Nantuko. It's 1 and a green for enchantment creature insect monk. It's a 1/1. You can bestow it for 1 and a green as well, which is actually kind of ludicrous considering what it does. Enchanted creature would get +1/+1. And its ability is landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1 and a green. If Spring Heart Nantuko is attached to a creature you control,
so if it's attached, it becomes a copy of the creature?
It's just worded a bit funny here. You may pay that if it's attached to a creature you control. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that creature. Yeah. I don't like how they've written that sentence.
So in its worst case, it's a landfall insect generator. In its best case, it's a creature doubler, and it's a bestow.
Yeah. So then the other part is if you didn't. So if it's not attached to a creature, then you just make a 1/1 green insect creature token.
That is worded horribly.
Yeah, I don't know what the heck they were thinking there.
But that's very, very cool.
Yeah, and it's reasonably cheap.
It's a $6 card. It's not like it's a $6 card, so it's not like the cheapest piece in the deck, but that ability is crazy. That ability at $6 is awesome because we're still really, really low. We're still right around like $70 right now before cutting anything. Like we're doing pretty good on a budget. Like we've got like a lot of really cool enchantments in here that you don't really see played. Like the hidden stuff I've only played in one deck ever before. It's my what's the word? It's the 2-color Sithis. And I had a lot of fun playing those. They were a blast to play. Do we want to put in a Weaver of Harmony? It's 1 and a green. So Weaver of Harmony, enchantment creatures you control get 1/1. That sadly doesn't pump our commander, which I wish it did. But our commander's not an enchantment. Never mind. No Weaver of Harmony. I was going to say we could get an extra trigger off, but the Weaver is not Weaver's not Wildsear. I don't know why I keep saying Weaver. Wildsear is not an enchantment. I did also just throw in Argothian Enchantress.
How about a couple more aura type rampers?
So we've got 62 cards. We've got like a pretty solid theme. Do we want to go hard right now into like we've got good draw and stuff. Do we want to go mostly into auras, like things that are going to ramp our things that way?
Well, there's a couple cheap ones that I want to recommend. They're older cards, so they're a little interesting. The first one is One with Nature.
One sec before you even do that. I quickly added Argothian Enchantress. It's a $50 card right now. I'm taking that out of the list.
Yeah.
I just have a bunch of them kicking around for old enchantment decks. I didn't realize it was $50. I was like, why did our list get so expensive? Sorry, I'm taking that out. What was the card you said?
One with Nature.
One with Nature. Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah. So it's basically a green, and it's an aura. It can enchant onto anything. Whenever enchanted creature deals combat damage to a player, which works with like Commander doing trample, search your library for a basic land card and put that onto the battlefield tapped.
Yep.
And then shuffle your library. So that's pretty cool. But there's a technically more powerful one, Mark of Sakiko. It's
great card.
1 and a green. Enchanted creature has, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, add that much green to your mana pool. This mana doesn't cause mana burn, so most people don't worry about that. Until end of turn, this mana doesn't empty from your mana pool as phases end. So that can get kind of stupid if you throw double strike and things, and you do lots and lots of damage. That's lots of mana to cast all your enchantments with. But I think that's pretty neat still, and it's an aura, so I think that will work.
Yep. Let me see what else we have for these auras. There was the Constellation one I wanted to throw in as a finisher. What's its name? It doubles your power.
There's a few doublers. There's Nihilus Colossus.
That's the one, Nihilus Colossus, yes.
Yeah.
Because
so six in a green for an enchantment creature giant, 6/6. Whenever it's got Constellation, and whenever Nihilus Colossus or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, double target creature's power and toughness until end of turn.
I threw that over into our finishers because, number one, it's cool that it's an enchantment. We can possibly cascade to if something's bigger, but anytime we cast an enchantment and then we convoke with our commander, we're going to get a second ETB. So even if we like dump into our commander, like let's say that we have this on the field, we only have a Mark of Sakiko in play. We pay 2 mana for Mark of Sakiko. Commander becomes a 12. Then our commander becomes a 24. That's pretty much a game over every time we cast any enchantment. That's something that wouldn't be able to stay on the field. So I like that a lot. Is there I haven't really looked at much of the constellation stuff while we're looking, and then because constellations all enter, and then auras, I really like the ramp kind of auras like that. I really like the Mark, the one with nature. Those are really, really cool because your commander gets through so easy, right? A 6/6 trample in just a normal commander game before you pump any power is already pretty good. Our wolf, we have a commander. It's a wolf. Do we want to put in alpha authority to be annoying? It's the alpha wolf. It's on theme. Enchanted creature gets hexproof and can't be blocked by more than one creature.
Yeah, I like the hexproof.
Hexproof can't be blocked by more than one creature, so we can roll over things pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gives us. I like that. It's just another easy aura to throw in.
Yeah, we can also go with some of the totems or the umbras.
Oh, the umbras are great.
Yep.
Do we want to? I was looking at other auras. Do we want to put in Ancestral Mask as well for a finisher? It's another aura, 2/2 for each other enchantment on the battlefield.
I was a little scared of that one because it's like if we go the doubler route, then we can play things like Unnatural Growth to double all of our creature stuff. I feel like that paints too much of a target on our commander.
Yep.
If we've got a lot of protection, then it's fine. But it just felt like it'll make the commander very big. And yes, now we're definitely the threat. But it just also means that they find a way to make us get rid of our commander, and then we lose that.
That's fair.
So
I threw that over into a maybe board.
Yeah.
I'm just looking through. There's so many cool auras.
Yeah, one of the new umbras, Lion Umbra, is probably a good one to get. So it's got a limitation though, enchant modified creature. But Lion Umbra is 2 for an aura, and it gives the enchanted creature +3/+3, vigilance, and reach. And it's an Umbra. So what the Umbra, for people who are not familiar with Umbras, is when your commander would die, then, if it would be destroyed, instead remove all damage from it and destroy that aura. So it would basically sacrifice itself for the commander. Which is, it's a nice way to ensure that your commander has a bit more resiliency, plus vigilance and reach on a very big commander. Those are both very useful. You can keep hitting with your vigilance, and you're able to block, which is what you want to, and block flyers, which is what you want to be able to do.
I'm looking through just auras and stuff, and here's one we don't really see often. Do we want to run this as a finger on the trigger to keep our commander from dying? A Bloodfire Infusion. It's 2 and a red. It's an enchanted creature you control. Pay 1 red, sack enchanted creature, deals damage equal to the sacked creature's power to each creature. So if somebody wants to remove my commander, I'm removing everyone's creatures, because 6 damage to each creature is a big board wipe.
Yeah, it could be a nice one, because it's like you can use it if somebody goes out of control suddenly. Dumps a whole bunch of other creatures on the board, and you're like, no, not happening.
I'm going to make a section called Removal. And then I was thinking of putting in Kenrith's Transformation and Lignify, because I think both are really, really annoying. Kenrith's Transformation. also gives us cards draw, I believe. Yeah. And then lignify. Yeah, because we can always cut cards down after. I just want to give us some options here. Yeah, so I've got those two. And Counter's Transformation, 1 in a green. When it enters, you draw a card. Enchanted creature loses all abilities and is a green elk with 3/3. And then our lignify is 1 in a green as well. Enchanted creature is a 0/4 tree folk with no abilities, which is going to kind of be nice to get rid of our Avacins, anything like that we're coming up with, or annoying commanders. And then you don't want to paint too big of a, so we don't want to throw something like Bear Umbra on our commander, because that's just going to turn into you have to kill our commander now, right?
Yeah. We could put it on other creatures. I like Bear Umbra in this case. We could put it on some of our other creatures that we'll have.
You do like Bear Umbra?
Yep.
Let's throw it in the list. It's crazy that this Wildsear doesn't have it. It's not stapled. It's not stapled on your turn. It's not stapled anything like that. It's just whenever you cast it.
Yeah.
That's a pretty crazy ability. Like, it's in any number of times we cast. So I guess, the Bear Umbra will really ramp us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're going to need a lot of mana, I think, in this one. I did look at stuff like Warstorm Surge as a possible avenue, because if we're going to be generating some stuff as well, like creature tokens, then Warstorm Surge is like, you got to put that in there, because it's we're going to ramp. We're going to have the mana to cast more expensive enchantments. So Warstorm Surge is 5 in a red enchantment. Whenever a creature you control enters, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. And something like that comes out, and then you're going to need a lot of mana to sort of power what happens next, because then you're going to want to make those other copies of things or make creature tokens.
There was one here. There's one I saw while I was scrolling, and I don't want to forget this one, because again, it's another one I don't see very often. I'd like to throw a Holistic Wisdom into this deck. It's a fairly cheap budget card. It's only like $1.70. It's one double green. Sorry, you pay 2, exile a card from your hand, return target card from your graveyard to your hand if it shares a card type with the card exiled. We have so many enchantments that this is just like a great removal, or a great recursion engine. Especially being able late game to throw away one of our hidden ancients late game, throw that away, and then get back like a Bear Umbra, a Warstorm Surge, one of our big finishers.
Yep.
I think Holistic Wisdom is cool recursion.
Yep.
Okay. Recursion. I don't think that's how you spell that, but it is today.
So there's another interesting card that came from the Doctor Who, which is a bit expensive. And it's not likely that we'll hit this from the Cascade, but I like what it does. It's a Flaming Tyrannosaurus.
Flaming Tyrannosaurus.
Yeah. 5 and 2 red for a dinosaur that's a 5/5 with menace. And it's got the ability Paradox. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, Flaming Tyrannosaurus deals 3 damage to any target. Then put a +1/+1 counter on Flaming Tyrannosaurus. And then it says, when Flaming Tyrannosaurus dies, it deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. So that's a bit of a finisher as well, and it's a bit silly, but,
I like
you're
it.
going to be cascading. So
I put it into a category called From Exile, because that, there's so many good things that benefit from exile. I think the red background does that. But I can't remember the name of cards. MTG background. Red.
Yeah, so there's a few From Exile ones. Let's see if Passionate Archaeologist. So it's 1 in a red. Commander creatures you own have, whenever you cast a spell from exile, this creature deals damage equal to that spell's mana value to target opponents.
Yeah.
So it's just hitting an opponent, knocking someone out, but it works with the From Exile casts. And then another 2 that are probably worth considering, I don't think we got them yet, is Feldorn Dreadwolf Herald.
Oh no, that's a great card.
So this one I like because it can make wolves. So 1 a red and a green for a legendary creature human druid, 3/3. Whenever you cast a spell from exile or a land enters the battlefield under your control from exile, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token, and you can pay 1, tap it, discard a card, exile the top card of your library. You may play it this turn. So that doesn't work entirely well with the commander in the sense that you discard a card, so you're losing something from your hand, but then you get to exile something and play it from exile.
Yeah.
So we probably won't need to use that part of it of Feldon, but the other part,
the advantage of free wolves, and its own theme. It's on the wolf theme.
Yep.
I'm just looking at what else cares about from exile.
There's Wild Mage Sorcerer, so it's 3 and a red for a creature orc shaman for 3. The first spell you cast from exile each turn has cascade.
Oh, that's great.
It'd be kind of interesting.
Wild Mage Sorcerer. So the first one you cast each turn from exile?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So our cascade cascades.
Yeah.
I put that into more advantage. I like that a lot. I really like that. Did we want to put in the Keeper of Secrets as well? It's kind of like the Flaming Tyrannosaurus. 5 and a red, 6/4, first strike haste demon. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, it deals damage equal to the spell's mana value to target opponent. Or do we think we have enough of that?
I think we might have enough. We can put it in the maybe, because it's like if you put like 10 or more finishers in a deck, then you're kind of starting to lose some of the other strategies.
Yeah, Keeper of Secrets. I'll throw over into that maybe board. Because, some of these might be difficult to find. We're at 77, so we got 23 more cards we can add in pretty easy. I say, looking at our strategies here, I think we go more into the auras. I think we've got some cool finishers. I think we need a few more pieces of aura ramp.
Okay.
Some of the... Let me see here. See if I can find some green aura ramp.
Maybe if...
Fertile Ground could be another one.
Yep.
Fertile Ground is whenever a land is tapped, whenever that land is tapped, you add an extra. Do we want to add a mana doubler, or do we not want to give away that much benefit? Because we are in the colors that we can run things like Heartbeat of Spring, Mana Flare. I think because we're getting double spells every time we cast, right? So us having more access to 2 spells could be good for us, but again, it is a big thing to give away to our opponents.
How about a little? There's a card that I put on my list because it gives us a bit of recursion, but it's not an enchantment, but it will ramp us. It's a new one from Bloomberg, the commander side, I think. Trail Tracker Scout, colorless and a green. You can tap it to add 1 mana of any color. It's a Raccoon Scout creature, 1/3. But its other part is whenever you expend 8, return up to 1 target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. And I just thought this is a repeating recursion.
Well, stapled onto ramp, right?
Yeah.
I like it.
So, yeah, it's just a very nice synergy one.
Worst case, it's still just a nice little ramp piece for our deck. And best case, it gives us the ability to get our big things back, because we can hit 8 mana in this deck pretty easy because we've got so many artifacts, right? Or so many enchantments.
So many big enchantments, yeah. Or small, you just cost lots of things.
Yeah. I threw in a Wolf Hollow Haven. It's 1 and a green. Whenever enchanted land is tapped for mana, its controller adds a green, so it's again our normal. Late game, we can throw it away, 4 and a green, sack it, create a 2/2 green wolf. Activate only during your turn.
Wolf Willow Haven, yes.
I threw in an Overgrowth. Whenever enchanted land is tapped for mana, its controller adds an additional 2 green.
Yep.
I have an Enchantress's Presence, which should be over in draw. Oh, I put Bequeathal in as well. If enchanted creatures put into any graveyard, draw 2 cards. I like being able to throw that on other people's things that we think are going to die. Okay. Or things we don't want them to block with. But I like that as an aura as well. It's if you block with this, I'm going to get my 2 card draw, so maybe don't try block and kill my commander. And Do we have a Utopia Sprawl in here? I think we do.
Yeah, we should.
And then maybe, what's this Blighted? I'm just going to quickly read this one. Blighted Burgeoning. Blighted Burgeoning is 2 and a green. When it enters, you incubate 2, so it gives us that. Whenever a land's tapped for mana, its controller adds 1 additional mana of any color. Do we want to keep that one?
I think it's nice because it's giving us... it's an artifact creature, but it's a creature.
Yeah, so something still in the creature section.
I've got 2 pet cards that would think might help us a lot.
Okay.
And they actually work with the Herald of the Pantheon. So the first is Defiler of Instinct.
Yeah.
So it's 2 and 2 red. It's not an enchantment or anything, but it will help us cast our enchantments. It's basically 4 mana for a 4/4 with first strike, which I like. As an additional cost to cast red permanent spells, you may pay 2 life. Those spells cost 1 red mana less to cast if you pay the life this way.
That's Defiler of what, sorry?
It's Defiler of Instinct.
Okay.
And then the other part of it is whenever you cast a red permanent spell, Defiler of Instinct deals 1 damage to any target.
I don't know. I don't know if that's enough in our but you said you like it as a pet card. Let's leave it for now.
Yeah, so the reason why I like this is because that means every enchantment that we have that has a red mana in it, we can reduce the cost by 1. We are paying 2 life, but it's just a constant benefit. And because it's a 4/4 with first strike, it is actually quite significant.
Yep.
And any red permanent spell that we cast gets us to ping some annoying little 1 thing for 1 damage. If you put Death Touch on that, then it becomes way stronger. But it's just, it's pet because I like having something that does multiple things, and this does a lot of things. And then the other Defiler that we can go for here is Defiler of Vigor, so the more expensive of them, but it's come down in price as well. It's 3 and 2 green. It's probably more relevant in this deck. It's a 6/6 with Trample, Phyrexian Worm. Similar, basically makes a green mana Phyrexian. You can pay 2 life instead of a green. And whenever you cast a green permanent spell, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control.
I like it.
It's very strong.
a big pump for a commander.
Yeah, it's not just our commander. It makes everything bigger. So
I threw in a Nessian Wanderer just to help smooth our land out. So it's 1 in a green. It's a Satyr Scout 1/3. It has Constellation. Whenever an enchantment enters under your control, you look at the top 3 cards of your library. You can reveal a land from among it, put it into your hand, put the rest in the bottom. That's going to be awesome for us because being able to, after casting and then cascading, we're able to look at 6 cards. We're rarely going to miss a land drop if we get something like that, right?
Yeah.
I like that. And then from the chat there, someone said Exploration would be good in this list and stuff, right? I said expensive but good cards, so I threw that over into our maybe board. If you have an Exploration sitting around, it would obviously be great having that extra ability to play lands. I'm personally all out of Explorations, so. But I love the card.
If you got even more mana, you go for Burgeoning.
Oh, Burgeoning would be so phenomenal.
Yeah, we're probably going to draw a lot of cards, so yeah.
I wonder, is there I'm just trying to think what other. So, is there any other bestow ones we like? Because we're still pretty low on our auras. We're only around 6.
Yeah. So let me look at the bestows. We can go with Leaf Crown Dryad. It's 1 in a green, and its bestow is 3 in a green for enchantment creature Nymph Dryad. It's a 2/2 and has reach. So enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has reach. So we don't have to put that on the commander, but it's nice to have something that's got reach. And plus, what's nice with this is if you have something else, then this can make that other thing bigger and have reach, and then you've got a flyer blocker, which is neat.
Yeah, I like that. Do we want to put in a Rishkar's Expertise? I feel like it's on theme, and you don't see it very often anymore. Rishkar's Expertise is, where did it just go? It's a 6 mana sorcery. So 4 double green. You draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control, which should be our commander. and then you can cast a spell with mana value 5 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. So it's giving us draw. We're trying to do it with our commander out, and then we're getting a free 5 or less cast to exile again. Like I think that goes into our draw, but also is like a huge advantage card.
Yep.
I like that we've done this. We're so far sans artifacts. The mana rocks, mana bands, they don't affect us right now.
Yeah, I feel maybe we need a bit more removal.
Yep. Damage removal or creature removal?
Versatile removal. That's not enchantments. So we can do like instant speed type interaction. So we can just do like maybe
do you want
4 cards.
I was going to say, do we want to quickly, for versatile, do we want to do one of the season ones? Season of Gathering, maybe?
Yeah, we can do that.
I love the season cards. They're one of my favorite cycles in a while now. Season of Gathering, this one's a sorcery, sadly, but it's 4 double green. You choose up to 5 paws worth of mode. The first one is put a 1/1 counter on a creature you control that gains vigilance and trample. Our commander already has vigilance, but that makes our commander, in the worst case of this card, an 11/11 trampler with vigilance, which is good.
Yeah.
Like 5 1/1 counters is great. The 2-paw mode, you can choose a target, choose artifact or enchantment, destroy all permanents of the chosen type. We're not artifact heavy, so we're very, very easy to board wipe artifacts with this, like a nice raw one. Or it's 3-paw mode, is draw cards equal to the greatest power. So realistically, with our commander out, this is 6 mana, draw 6, wipe all artifacts from the field. I think that could be good.
Yep. That's kind of the benefits of not going with artifacts, is we can put stuff like that in.
I put that in, what would you say, draw or removal?
I'll just put it as removal.
I'd say removal, yeah, because we're mass removing with that, right? It's
almost a wrath as well, so but removal's fine.
And then what is I just wanted to quickly see the red season as well, because I love the season cards and everything. The red season is 5 mana, again, 5 paws. We can, so for 1 paw, it's create a tapped treasure token. So again, we can ramp 5 with it. 2, exile top card of your library until end of turn you can play it. That's not as much for us. But the 3 is until your next turn, whenever you cast a spell, it deals 2 damage to up to 1 target creature. And our cascade counts as a cast, right? When we cast it cast it from exile.
Yeah, I like that.
So another piece of removal, because that's every spell we cast now a 4 damage, right? So we've got a lot of like 2 and 1 drops that can potentially like be board wiping. What did you have in mind for some actually good pieces of removal?
Collective Resistance is one.
Great card.
It's also fairly new. 1 and a green, and it's an instant. You can escalate by paying a green for each extra mode that you choose, and you choose 1 or more. The first mode is destroy target artifact. The second is destroy target enchantment, and then the last is target creature gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Now, what this means is this is kind of like a 3-for-1, or potentially 4-for-1, because someone tries to remove something of yours, like your commander, and then you use this and you now target their stuff because they targeted you. So you fizzle their spell because you're giving hexproof, save your commander, destroy an artifact, destroy an enchantment. So it's pretty strong.
I like it a lot. Do we want to do a Cinder Vines for a piece of removal? It is 1 green, 1 red. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature, 1 damage to that player, so cool ping. And then we can pay 1, destroy target artifact or enchantment, and then 2 damage to that permanent's controller.
Yeah. Cinder Vines is okay.
Cinder Vines is all right. Okay. I added in I don't know if this one will make the final, but I added in an Unnatural Growth. It's got a wolf on the card. Our commander's a wolf, and I'm a simple-brained guy. It's 1 quadra green. At the beginning of each combat, double the power and toughness of each creature you control until end of turn. That could really matter.
Yep. So with cards like this, where you have that bigger requirement for green, you want to do what I call leaning into green in your mana base, where if you're going to put basics, you're probably going to have basics, otherwise you're crazy. But but they probably have maybe 12 to 15 basics at the very least. Most of those should be
more on the
forest,
green side,
and then just a couple of them can be mountains. And then you have a bunch of fixing above that. So that's what I mean if I say lean into that color. Otherwise, what I typically do is I just do a split. I don't care about the trying to work out based on how many pips or whatever. I just, when I build my mana base, I make it simple. I just split it evenly. One more removal, which could actually be quite a big thing in this deck, because we could potentially end up with a very big commander. We could play something like Chandra's Ignition.
Yep.
So it's 3 and 2 red for a sorcery. So it's a bit slower, but it has quite a powerful impact. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each other creature, and each opponent.
Yep.
So if you end up with like a 10-10, you blow everything up around it. Like your other creatures will die probably, but all your opponent's creatures 10 damage, and the opponents take 10 damage as well, and you've got this 10-10 ready to hit someone in the face. So I think that's a nice way to clear the path for your commander as well.
I like that. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that one. So I put that one in. I added a few just little side pieces to talk about here. One is Primeval Bounty. Primeval Bounty is 5 and a green. Whenever you cast a creature, you get a beast. We're not really doing much in the creature section, but I do like whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you put 3/1/1 counters on target creature you control. That's a pretty guaranteed way to kill our commander or kill people with our commander because of that cascade ability. So I think that could be a good in the finishers. And then whenever a land comes in, you just gain 3 life. It's kind of passive.
Yep.
I put in a Seal of Primeridium based on that wanting access to instant speed removal. It's 1 in a green. You sack it, destroy target artifact or enchantment. So it's nice to cascade there. We can have it sit there as a threat to not annoy us and stuff. I like that as a piece of removal. And then I put in Up the Beanstalk because we've got a few expensive pieces. It's just it's all right.
It draws immediately anyway, so it's...
Yeah, exactly. When it enters and whenever you cast a spell with mana value 5 or greater, you draw. I think that's like an okay little piece because that's giving us a commander draw. We do have some bigger ones, right? We don't want to just be little 1/1 weenie drop enchantments. Like we want to actually be able to bang the board a little bit.
Yep.
So
how about, and obviously when you mostly ground creatures and stuff, you can run into issues with opponents having a lot of flyers. How about Sandworm Convergence?
Love it.
So Sandworm Convergence, 6 and 2 green. It would be nice to have a really expensive enchantment because it gives us a very good cascade. Creatures with flying can't attack you or planeswalkers you control. And at the beginning of your end step, create a 5/5 green worm creature token.
Yeah, Sandworm Convergence is great.
And maybe something similar, but in the air, is Dragon Cultist. 4 and a red for a legendary enchantment background. Commander creatures you own have, at the beginning of your end step, if a source you control dealt 5 or more damage, this turn create a 4/4 red dragon creature token with flying.
What's that card, sorry?
Dragon Cultist.
Dragon Cultist.
Yeah. It's a little iffy because it's like if your opponent destroys your commander, then you don't get your 4/4 red dragon, but I think it can work in this case because our commander can be the thing that deals 5 or more damage.
Yeah. It's still a token generator, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just scrolling through here and looking at just some auras that I like. I added another one. I added Market Festival. It's just another ramp one, 3 and a green.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, whenever enchanted land is tapped for mana, its controller adds 2 mana in any combination to its mana pool. His or her mana pool, yeah. Where's my ramp section? Sandworm Convergence we got. Dragon Cultist we got. Yeah, because we're right near the edge of the list, but I want to be able to have some more budget options for when I cut down for a budget version of the list. So let's keep adding.
How about Elemental Mastery?
Elemental Mastery. Is that the
3 and a red for an enchantment aura?
That's the tap one, right?
Yeah, enchanted creature has tap, create X 1/1 red elemental creature tokens with haste, where X is the creature's power. Exile them at the end of the next end step.
That could actually work really good with our as just kind of a pseudo combo with this Defiler of Vigor, because then we cast one green spell, put a 1/1 counter on each creature we control. We can get these creatures pretty big. It's great with a Warstorm Surge.
The Defiler of Vigor is putting the counters onto all your creatures.
Yep.
So what will inevitably happen is maybe you put Elemental Master in your commander. Your commander is maybe an 8/8, 9/9.
Mm-hmm.
Throw out a bunch of these elementals. They do get exiled at the beginning of the next end step, but I would imagine that if you have a couple more costs to go, and with the cascades happening, you could potentially have quite a lot of counters going down on those 1/1s.
There's two cards that I kind of want to put in now that I'm looking at them, but they go against the heart of our deck because they're artifacts. But it's Chaos Wand and Wand of Wonder, and I'm going to throw them over into the sideboard. Chaos Wand and Wand of Wanderer, because they both do the same thing, which is it's into our free cast spell, but this is other people's. Chaos Wand is 3 colorless. Target opponent exiles from the top of their library until they exile an instant or sorcery. You can cast without paying its mana cost. I'm throwing it in the maybe board because I like it. And then the same with Wand of Wanderer. We've been really good on the no artifacts, but both of them just are those basically reveal cast from other people's. So I kind of like them as a maybe board. Other thing, I like where we're going with our no artifacts. So they're not quite making it into the main list, but I do like that ability.
Yeah, I mean, everybody who's listening and watching this, we're throwing a bunch of different ideas into a pot here. So there's definitely going to be stuff like you'll be like, play Vidalcan Orrery. You never know what's going to happen. You know, it's like casting the enchantments and cascading on your opponent's turns. That's going to be a lot of fun as well.
Mm-hmm.
And if you got stuff that is going to untap all your lands, then you're going to be able to do some crazy stuff in your opponent's turn, like Wilderness Reclamation, right? So it's not to say that we don't want you to play these artifacts. You can definitely do some really funky stuff. We're just trying to make it a bit easier for us to build because there's already a lot of choices. So, yeah.
Do we want to put in a Dictate of Karametra and Dictate of the Twin Gods?
You know, I didn't even think about the enchantment gods.
Because the two dictates here, Dictate of Karametra and Dictate of the Twin Gods, both of these are flash enchantments, which is going to give us the ability to cascade on other people's turns, which is kind of nice. Because I know Allurin lets us flash things, but it's really expensive and it's only 3 or less, right? But I'm trying to think, does anything else give our enchantments flash?
I think there's just a land that might be the wrong colors.
Here's another one that's not bad actually for us. Howlpack Resurgence. Pretty cheap card. It's got flash. It's 2 and a green. Each creature you control that's a wolf or werewolf gets 1/1 and has trample. We still already have it, but we've got a little side sub theme of flash.
Maybe a better one than that is Howling Moon.
Okay.
So it's unlikely we're going to have very many wolves. I mean, we've got some wolf generation potential, but Howling Moon is 2 and a green enchantment. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target wolf or werewolf you control gets +2/+2. So it's not pumping everything, but our commander can get that boost.
Yep.
And then whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token.
I like it.
Maybe these two together, I mean, and you go a little bit more wolfy.
Yeah, I like this. I'm just going through the enchantments that have flash, and I've got a few ideas here. So okay. I'll share them in just a moment here. I think that's a great one. Omen of the Hunt. So let me read these ones that I've thrown into the list, because like I said, I'm trying to over add so that I can budget cut down again for another list after. So Dictate of Karametra that I didn't read is whenever a player taps a land for mana, that player adds 1 mana. It's a mana doubler, but again, we're really benefiting from these mana things, so I don't mind it as much. Dictate of the Twin Gods is if it source would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double damage. That can be a game ender if our commander's out and somebody thinks, you know what, I'm only going to take 7 damage from their commander, 8 damage from their commander, I don't care, and suddenly it's 16, 18. That can kill them, especially because we're getting out another. If we flash our Dictate of the Twin Gods, we can always flash into, we can always roll over into something like a Bear Umber, right? It could be a game ender for it. Howling Moon, that was a great one because it just passively pumps our commander as like a little anthem and generates wolves, which is phenomenal. I put in Jolrael's Favor. Jolrael's Favor is an aura. It's 1 and a green. You can play it anytime you can play an instant, so flash, and it has 1 and a green regenerate enchanted creature. That's kind of a nice way to be able to bait out some of that removal at our commander. Somebody wants to try get it and stuff, and they're wasting their mana and stuff. We've saved the mana up to protect it. I like this one, Latula's Orders, as well. I put in a 1 and a red. It's got flash. Whenever enchanted creature deals combat damage to defending player, you can have it destroy target artifact or enchantment they control. That's going to be good later. It's going to be a good surprise to get through and actually like roll into people. I put in Omen of the Hunt because it enters. You can search library for a basic land, put it on tap, then shuffle. That's 3. And then you can pay 2 and a green, sack it, scry 2. So another piece of ramp that's going to maybe land fix us for our other color. That's it. Those are all the ones I put in so far. But I just like the idea of flashing on other people's. Ooh. Also maybe one with the Cami. One with the Cami is a nice 69-cent card. It's 3 and a green. Enchant creature you control. When enchanted creature or another modified creature you control dies, create X 1/1 colorless spirits that are that creature's power. Yeah, I feel like there's nothing. I don't think there's anything else that is like Allurin that gives you flash that is reasonable. Cards like Allurin, because that's what I really. If we could flash, then that would be cool. But I don't think there's that. Like, do you know any cards like Allurin that actually give us flash?
No, I didn't actually go too much into that research. I mean, I can throw a little scryfall together, but
cards like Allurin. Yeah, I don't think there's many cards that are like Allurin's a pretty unique card, I would say. Allurin. I'm just trying to see. Sorry for everyone listening who's hearing me look through things for Allurin, but I need my Allurin like cards. Yeah, I don't think anything else gives you that broad enchantments have flash. All right, well, I'm abandoning the enchantments have flash because I'm happy that I got a few flash enchantments. We could, if you put in like the Vidalcan Orrery and stuff, but again, that goes against the spirit of what we're doing.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I mean, if anybody knows of something, they can always just let us know in the comments. So,
I just threw in an Elvish Archivist because you don't see it very often. It's 1 and a green. It's an Elf Artificer 0/1. Whenever one or more artifacts you control enter, you put 2 1/1 counters on it. That doesn't matter, but whenever one or more enchantments enter under your control, draw a card. Triggers only once each turn, but it's still a nice little draw engine for cheap because we've got a pretty hardy draw engine in the deck, right? We've got got 9 pieces of removal. We have a ton of ramp. Like I think we're looking pretty good with a lot of our sections, but I want to be able to, because like I said, I've gotten really into breaking down the list into I've started breaking things down into more of a budget version and not budget version kind of thing. So I like having that option to be able to have all these extra choices. So cutting down after we can do that, because I can always just move things to a maybe board, and that's very, very easy, right? I like the list of what we're going for so far, but what else are we missing? What do you think?
Some stuff that maybe we don't have to add here, and I mean, people will probably be shouting these ones out, is stuff like City on Fire and Fury Emancipation, these damage triplers, or Jessica Thrice Reborn to make our commander deal lots of damage, that kind of stuff. There's stuff like that. Aggravated Assault for extra combats. But I mean, that's all just like preferences.
That's kind of a win more one, but I am going to throw Aggravated Assault into the maybe board because it is very fun to be able to go off with extra combats.
Yeah, I think my last one that I'd put forward is Asceticism.
Great card.
3 and 2 green for enchantments. Creatures you control can't be the target of spells and abilities your opponents control, and you can pay 1 and a green to regenerate target creature. That's actually pretty cool here because we might have multiple creatures out that we want to regenerate.
Mm-hmm.
So if people try and board wipe, Blasphemous Act, whatever, we can save some stuff. So
yep,
it's very nice.
I like that one. I'm just going through our other auras because I'm sure there's some other cool auras that we haven't really looked at yet.
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of new interesting, the Glimmers and there's Elven Chorus. There's so many very cool enchantments that we could look at just for additional advantage or more mana.
That's kind of the problem with a deck like this, right? Like there's so many, when you have such a broad spectrum of like enchantments have cascade, like that's such a killer ability, right? So it's so hard to
do so much with that.
Yeah, what way do we want to go with something like this, right? Do we have a sheltered area in here? I'll put that one in as well. It's another just ramp piece. Sheltered area. Yeah, so I think we've got a lot of ways to kill with our commander. We have some really, really strong finishers. Do you think we have enough auras to keep the Broodkeeper and Valduk?
Can we check? Let's have a look.
Because I think we're pretty light on auras so far.
So if you scroll down, you should see the new metrics section or the deck stats section. They recently upgraded this on Architect. So we might be able to use that to try and...
I liked when it just told me the raw number of enchantments and everything, right?
Yeah, so it has ways to give us that data.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just trying to see what extent. So I did select type here.
While you do that, I'm going to keep looking at auras.
Yeah, we have a lot of enchantments in here.
A ton of enchantments, but not as many creature auras, right?
Okay. Let's see. Subtypes. So I found the place. Okay. So we've got 22 auras, which is not too bad.
That's not bad.
Yep.
I would say we leave that then.
Yeah, there's 57 enchantments. Yeah, I like this new stuff they gave us in the deck stats. It's more graphs, probabilities.
Mm-hmm.
You can tailor it to give you what's the probability of me drawing this particular strategy, which is perfect for the 8x8 EDH system, which is all about strategy. So yeah, I need to play around a lot more with that. And it also gives you better distributions of your mana. So you can actually see where is the mana, at what level. We've got a lot of cheap 1 mana, 2 mana items in green, and our red is more higher in the higher mana values. So yeah, this is pretty good stats.
Oh, I wanted to do Titania's Song.
Oh yes.
Titania's Song is a really cool card, and especially when we're so thick into...
Might be a little salty, but...
Yeah. Each non-creature artifact loses its abilities, and is an artifact creature with power and toughness equal to its total casting cost. If this leaves play, then Titania's Song... if Titania's Song leaves play, the effect continues until the end of the turn. But this effectively shuts all treasures off against our deck. And I really, really like that.
Yeah, there's another worm thing or something that says for each artifact that you try and cast, it costs 1 more for each other artifact, something like that.
Oh, Hum of the Radix. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Is it Hum of the Radix?
Yeah.
I like it. Where is this? Hum of the Radix is mean. 2 double green. Each artifact spell costs 1 more to play. For each, we're not playing artifacts. We don't have a single one in the deck. I say we leave it. No Soul Ring or Jeweled Lotus here. I'm a big fan of this.
Probably stop a lot of combos as well.
Yeah. That was I was looking through my enchant lands to see if there was anything I liked for enchantment of lands. Now I'm just going through my What do I have for this one? That's my cast from exile stuff. Oh, do we want to do Creeping Renaissance? Choose a permanent type, return all cards of the permanent type to your hand, and it has flashback.
That I put under recovery, I think, in my...
Yeah, I would put that one in the recovery thing, because it just, the ability to get both of our all of our cards back twice is pretty good.
Yeah, this is another interesting one, Storm Herald, which is 2 in a red, for Human Shaman, 3/2 with haste. When it enters the battlefield, return any number of aura cards from your graveyard to the battlefield attached to creatures you control. Exile those auras at the beginning of the next end step. If those auras would leave the battlefield, exile them instead of putting them anywhere else. So it's like a throw the Storm's Herald after a board wipe, and suddenly your opponent dies.
Yeah, to be honest, you can that is a kill. That is a kill thing if we bring it all back.
Yep.
I'm throwing it into our maybe for the moment, because we're not as Voltron as we want. We're trying to stay a little way from Voltron. Let me see what else we can do with this. We've got some cool stuff that is making us wolf tokens. What else can we get that is going to give us a few wolf tokens?
Wolf Caller's Howl is probably the best for that.
Yeah, I think we have that one, right? No? Wolf Callers.
Wolf Caller's Howl is 3 and a green for enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, put X 2/2 green wolf creature tokens onto the battlefield, where X is the number of your opponents with 4 or more cards in hand.
Phenomenal.
So
that's beautiful.
Most commander players want to have a handful of cards, so that should do some work. It might encourage them to try and not draw as much as well, which can be interesting. But
I really, really like that. Howling Moon was good. We've got that. Do we want to do Journey to the Lost City? You don't really see that card very often. Beginning of your upkeep, exile the top 4 cards of your library, roll a d20. You can put a land from...
It's a bit of a... You either love it or you hate it.
I think we don't want to... we don't want to miss that many cards of exile, though, right?
Yeah. If you're very lucky, you can get more stuff back, but it's like... I remember having it in Tovolar and immediately just hating it, because I just didn't want my cards to disappear into exile like that all the time. And it just, like, I put it in my Lara Croft build because it's a pretty cool thematic card for that. And I mean, Lara Croft's doing a lot of into exile anyways, but it just, I can't bring myself to put it in other decks because it just feels like I'm losing more than I'm gaining. And often you're going to lose a card that you really didn't want to lose because that was one of your key cards. And now it's stuck and you have to wait who knows how long to get it back.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm just looking here. Wolf Colors Howl is great. No. Wolf Willow Haven, I think we got. So I added a few more. I threw a few more cards into our giant pile here that I've got to sort still. One was Raised by Wolves. It's 3 double green. When it enters, you put 2 green wolf creature tokens onto the battlefield, and enchanted creature gets 1/1 for each wolf. So it's going to pump us because our commander's already a wolf. So for that 5 mana, even if we raw cast it and we throw this onto our commander gets +3/+3, and then is going +3/+3 minimum if we have no other wolves, and it's going to give us another 4 power. So that's 7 power onto the board at 5 mana. Not horrible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all right.
I put in Mantle of the Wolf because, again, I'm simple-minded. I got wolves on the brain. Mantle of the Wolf is 3 and a green. It's another enchantment. Enchanted creature gets 4/4. When it's put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you create 2/2 green wolves. So again, kind of gives us a little bit of protection from someone killing our stuff. It doesn't leave us in the worst place we could be.
Yep. Yeah, that seems all right.
And then my last thing I wanted to go through, which I haven't scrolled through, is enchantment creatures, because I didn't look at enchantment creatures very much. And I'm sure there's some really cool ones. What are we looking at for time, by the way? We're going hour and a half. We're going long. I'm sorry, you guys. You get what you get. I like to look at cool cards, and I should research before, but then it's not a live brew. It's not. It's Thunder that does the research.
Tovolar's Huntmaster is probably a good one for wolves. It's not an enchantment, but it's kind of like one of those giants. So it's 4 and 2 green, so 6 total mana for a human werewolf. When Tovolar's Huntmaster enters the battlefield, create 2 green, 2/2 green wolf creature tokens.
Yep.
And it's a 6/6 itself, so it's a big body, but it's day bound. So you can flip it to get Tovolar's Pack Leader, which not everybody likes the day-night cycle. And on the back side, it says the same thing. When it enters, create 2 green wolf creature tokens, and you can pay 2 and 2 green. Another target wolf or werewolf you control fights target creature you don't control, and it's a 7/7.
On the backside, it's whenever it enters or attacks, which is great.
Oh yeah. Sorry,
yeah,
I've
that's
got small
killer.
text there, and it's a bit blurry for some reason.
No, there's so much words on a lot of these cards. I like this.
Yeah. So if you can get that to flip into night, maybe you want to have that artifact that does the day-night flipping for you. That could help. Otherwise, you just control it with your spells.
I have a weird card I've just seen. So it's an enchantment creature, so we can cascade into it, and it's going to synergize with us. It's an enchantment creature, Minotaur Shaman, Dream Shaper Shaman. 5 and a red for a 5/4. At the beginning of your end step, you can pay 2 and a red, and sack a non-land permanent. If you do reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-land, put that onto the battlefield and the rest on the bottom in a random order. We have a lot of things that are generating tokens that we can throw away, like a Rasta, Sandworm, and stuff like that. But we also have a lot of 1 mana enchantments that are going to be great early game, but like maybe late game we want to throw away the Abundant Growth and see kind of what it is. I kind of like this as an advantage. It's a nice 35-cent card. It's very in the realm. A lot of our ETB or a lot of our stuff is enchantment ETB, so it's going to trigger a ton of stuff. I think it's a cool little addition.
Yeah, I agree. It's one that every time I see it, I think that's such a cool card, but then I just don't build into many decks.
That's fair.
But yeah, it's very good. I mean, anywhere where you're going to have like tokens and stuff, that's perfect.
There was a red constellation too. Yeah, Forgeborn Oreads. You seen that one?
No, I don't remember that. That was in my dark years of Magic where I was poor.
Fair. That's still my years of Magic right now. It's 2 double red for a 4/2 nymph. It's an enchantment creature. When it or another enchantment enters under your control, it deals 1 damage to target creature or player. I liked that. I put that in removal, a nice easy way to direct some damage at creatures. And then I'm still looking at our enchantment creatures. The glimmers are cool. I haven't really looked through them.
Yeah, you got glimmers in rooms. Some of the rooms are broken, but
Enduring Vitality.
I just like that Duskmourn has given us a lot more enchantments. Because it increases the diversity of what you can do with them.
I haven't looked too much at Duskmourn, but the more I look at it, the more I think it's really, really cool stuff. The like that I threw into the list here before I start cutting things. Enduring Vitality, 1 double green for a 3/3 Elk Glimmer. Creatures you control have tap to add 1 mana of any color, so ramp. When it dies, if it was a creature and it's an enchantment creature, you return it as an enchantment. So it's going to double up our ETB. Like I think these glimmers are really cool. Why did I not look at them when I was doing it?
Yeah, I had it in my list of things, but I kind of mentioned it in passing. But it's one of the newer cards, so people aren't as familiar with it. But yeah, it's a good one for if you're creating lots of tokens and stuff, lots of mana.
Mm-hmm. Creature
tokens, I should say.
Yeah, I'm just doing a quick. We don't need a trampler enabler. Xenagos could be good.
Yeah, so any of the enchantment gods that are like indestructible and stuff, they could definitely go in here as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, your opponent's gonna be like, what the heck? Karametra or something comes up.
Yeah, because Xenagos.
What's the red green Clothis? It's not Karametra. Karametra is white. Clothis.
Let's see what Clothis is. Oh, that's the exile one, right? The really annoying one.
Yeah.
It sure is. Clothis, 1 red, 1 green for a 4/5 indestructible. As long as your devotion to red and green is less than 7, it isn't a creature. In your pre-combat main phase, exile target card from a graveyard. If it was a land, you can add a green or red. Otherwise, it deals 2 damage to each opponent and you gain 2 life. That's great. I say we leave that one in. And then I put in God of Revels. It's devotion. Okay. It's a 3/1 green, 1 red, 6/5 enchantment, creature, god, indestructible. At the beginning of combat on your turn, the target creature gets XX, where X is its power until end of turn. So another nice mana doubler for us. That Clothis is mean. Who hurt you? I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
I'm just quickly looking through the rest. Like I said, we're nearly done. We're right at the end, but we don't need trample. Other creatures.
There's the archetype of endurance for more hexproof.
That's pretty expensive, though. Is my problem.
Yeah. But we're gonna have a lot of ramp, and the value that it gives us plus the cascade off that is.
I think we put in this huge Nyxborn Behemoth. Have you seen that card?
Is that the Earth Dragon?
It's a beast. It's a 10/10. It's 10 double green. It costs X less to cast, where X is the total mana value of non-creature enchantments you control. And then it's got trample, and you can pay 1 in a green, sack another enchantment. It gains indestructible to end of turn. We have nothing but enchantments to throw away for a 10/10 indestructible trampler that might come down at 2 green mana.
Well, I suppose. I see. So, sometimes I classify cards as selfish, and I tend to, in my building style, move away from cards like that. It's stuff that's like, this creature gets a +1/+1 counter when something else happens.
That's fair.
And I try to go for something that's more Defiler of Vigor. Give all the creatures +1/+1 counters. But yeah, it depends on how you like to play. I suppose if you have a few very large Gulter type creatures that come out and they can just smash face, that can be fun. But it can end badly. Had that happen on the weekend. Someone puts down a Gulter, it immediately gets removed, and everyone gets salty.
That's fair. I was looking at the new Overlord there. I'm just scrolling through enchantment creatures. Overlord of the Hauntwoods. That's pretty good, but expensive card already. $30 already for a new card. It's a nice price point.
Yeah, there's the Zopandrel Hunger Dominus, which can double power and toughness each creature you control.
Zopandrel's pretty good, yeah.
It also has reach, which is nice.
That's kind of cool. Interesting. Have you looked at Shigeki, the Jukai Visionary?
Yep.
I think that could be a good card for a potential.
Yeah, it's nice because it can recover you stuff or ramp you. So.
Well, and the other thing too is you can keep bouncing it, so anything that draws a card when it enters.
Yeah, and the thing with Shigeki, in my stuff when I put my initial list together, is I didn't have that many 1-mana items. He's going to pull all your 1-mana stuff out.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Yeah, actually. Do we have a Weaver of Harmony in here? We don't have a Weaver of Harmony, I don't think.
Mentioned it.
Yeah, I think I put it away because of not the commander, but we've got enough enchantments that I think it matters. Other enchantments you control get 1/1, and you can pay a green, copy target activated or triggered ability from an enchantment you choose. We have a lot of destroy on damage enchantments. We have a lot of that Springheart Nantuko, being able to copy that up would be crazy. We've got pretty good ones. Xenagos is another great one. The Clothis, those are pretty good ones to be able to copy. Mm-hmm. And then my very last search of the day, double creature power.
Well, then you probably want Thickest in the Thicket. It's not so much a doubler, but it gets card draw and puts counters.
Thickest in the Thicket?
Yeah, it's a Bloomburrow. 3 and 2 green. When Thickest in the Thicket enters, put X +1/+1 counters on target creature, where X is that creature's power. So it kind of can double a creature's power. And then at the beginning of your end step, draw 2 cards if you control the creature with the greatest power or tied for the greatest power.
Yeah, I like that. That's pretty cool.
Just with Wildsear, you're going to draw 2 cards. So
yeah, that's really good. Zopandrel. That's what I'm going to look at. Cards like Zopandrel. Yeah, we don't care about that. We have an unnatural growth. I wonder if there's anything else that cares about biggest power on the battlefield. Because that could be good, like an end step. Check how much is the biggest power. Oh, we another good things that we could do is your traverse the outlands, last march to the ends kind of thing. the search your library for, because with our commander, that's a 5 mana, get 6 lands into play. No, I think I like our big ramp package that we have right now as enchantments, right?
Yeah. I think we've got plenty. I mean, there's a lot more items that we haven't talked about there. But yeah, that comes down to just when you're building these things, work with what's in your collection if you've got the stuff.
Yeah, that's why I kind of like doing it like this, because we've got so many options. I've got such a big list right now. I got 130. I got to cut this list down. And I was going to say it's very nice that you can kind of build with what you have sitting around, right? Like if you have these cards, cool. If you don't have these cards, cool. How about a Glorious Sunrise? What do we think of that one? Do you know that card?
I do like Glorious Sunrise. It's another one of those ones that does all the things, right? So
yeah, I really like that one. We could do Court of Garenbrig. No, Court of Garenbrig's expensive. Why are all these cards so expensive right now?
Do you want to read out Glorious Sunrise?
Glorious Sunrise, yeah. 3 double green. Beginning of combat on your turn, choose one. Creatures you control get 1/1 and trample. So again, a nice board anthem if we want. Target land gains tap to add 3, so ramp. Draw a card if you control a creature with power 3 or greater, which we should, or you gain 3 life. There's a ton of utility there.
Yeah.
I don't know what any of these battles do. Don't care about that one. Don't care about that one. Chandelar's actually not bad. What's the other side? Ooh, I do like... how about Invasion of Chandelar?
I didn't even look at the invasions.
Yeah, right.
Those are battles and enchantments.
Yeah, they're battles, but Invasion of Chandelar is 3 double green. It as a siege with 4. When it enters, return up to 3 target permanents from your graveyard to your hand, which is, again, pretty good recursion if we need it late game. And then it has Leyline Surge. At the beginning of your upkeep, you can put a permanent from your hand onto the battlefield. So more of that kind of advantage kind of things.
Yeah. I mean, it might matter because we're drawing a lot.
I'm looking at Hydra's... Like, Hydra's Growth is kind of what I'm thinking.
Well, if it's got an X in the cost, then... Probably not.
Does Hydra's Growth have X in the cost? No, Hydra's Growth is 2 and a green. When it enters, you put a 1/1 counter on enchanted creature. At the beginning of your upkeep, double the number of 1/1 counters on enchanted creature.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we don't want to... We don't want to hit things that are X because those are dead with Cascade.
Yeah.
Hydra's Growth. I gotta start cutting this list down soon. I don't know what else does those kind of things. Yeah, we don't really need to pump the commander. The commander kind of pumps itself. We're not really a 1/1 counters themed deck, so none of that stuff really matters. I did throw in a Roaring Earth there just as a side enchantment. Just because it's whenever a land enters, you put a 1/1 counter on target creature or vehicle, or you can discard it, put X 1/1 counters. It becomes a green spirit with haste. I kind of like that to make a creature in a pinch if we need it, but also just to pump our commander with landfall.
Yeah, it can help.
I've put a lot of cards in this list. Holy. Yeah. Let me stop looking at cards here. Oh.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, do we want to put in Kodama of the West Tree, because the Kodama of the West Tree is the modified creatures gain.
Cheats.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's the one where they get to go get things, get lands. But I don't think we need.
I mean, both the Kodamas, both of those work well in this. So.
Yeah, because the other one, when something enters, we put things in.
Yeah, you can just put more things in, but it doesn't trigger the cascade. So.
Yeah, Kodama of East Tree. Whenever another permanent you control enters, if it wasn't put onto the battlefield with this ability, you can put one. It's $279. It's pretty cheap. I say we throw it into advantage, and then I stop adding cards to the list because we're at 134.
Yeah, it would actually work twice in a way, because first from your cost, then from the cascade, there's 2 things coming in.
Yeah, double permanent enter.
Yeah, I think that's all like maybe board stuff. Like it's you going into the good stuff territory. Like these are just like generally good cards to have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you find stuff is not working, then you start putting the good stuff, or your play group is just degenerate, then you just put all the stronger things.
What is the name of the... We have how many auras in the deck, you said?
Oh, I think it was like 50 or something. Let me just go down there again. Oh, no, 20. It was 20, 22.
22, because I was going to say we could do something like the Kamigawa Commander. It's but that one's only for modified, and I don't think we have enough to dedicate put into that.
Yeah. But I mean, we are putting counters. There are auras. There are some modified creature triggers.
I think we're pretty good with where we are. We've got a lot of kind of different routes. We've got to try and see. Like I said, we've got to cut the list down. Do we want to cut it down right now and just start dragging some things into maybe boards, and then I'll do it into a budget list, or do we want to just leave it as like a big shell and then I will cut it after?
I think because I'm getting tired.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's pretty late there.
We leave it as a shell, then you can cut it down into the 2 refined lists.
I like that. Yeah.
Budget.
Well, I might do 2 or 3. Yeah. It's pretty easy and stuff. This is a pretty easy way to make a list. Like we're pretty budget adjacent. Like even with 134 cards at the highest, we're at $239. So this isn't going to be a super expensive deck once we cut down to a budget version. I like it.
Yeah, in Europe it says 131.
I'm gonna move to Europe. My syrup money isn't worth anything apparently.
If you really want to get cheap cards, you just start ordering from outside the borders. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there was one that I had to put in. It is the red enchantment. What's its name? When you attack, it deals damage equal to the number of cards in their hand. Equal to number of cards in hand. It's a great blowout card. What is the name? It's an aura. It's from the Chishro deck.
I've got that one. Yeah, I don't. I think I've got like one of those in my whole collection. I don't remember it.
Chishro deck list MTG. I know it's there. It's in my brain. I know it exists. You've got to believe me. But I know it's a really cool enchantment. And it's where's the enchantments? Unquenchable Fury. It's 2 and a red. When equipped creature has, whenever it attacks, it deals X damage to defending player, where X is the number of cards in their hand. When it's put into your graveyard from the battlefield, return it to your hand. I like that one. That'll be the last one I add for real this time. Yeah. All right. That's good. I leave it there. Yeah. What do you think? Do you think we're missing kind of anything, or we got enough?
We got more than enough here.
Perfect. It is late, so I say we wrap it and stuff. Thank you guys. 1 second. Where's my music? There we go. Thank you for joining so late and stuff. I know that this is a quite late. What time is it there right now?
It's 10 o'clock.
Yeah, it's bedtime there. So again, thank you so much for joining. Thank you guys for listening and stuff. And yeah, the deck list will be in here. Thunder and I'll work out a few of these extra ones and everything. That'll be a nice budget version. But I really like this commander. I really have had fun brewing these Calamity Beasts. If you guys like these cards and everything, go to Abyss Proxy Shop, promo code IT99. It's a great place to get any of the expensive ones. You can throw your Allurans, your Explorations, all the good stuff if you feel you need it and stuff. Let us know if there's anything we missed. Thank you so much, Thunder, for being here. All our content is over at intothe99.com, including great articles written by Thunder. And yeah, that's it. I'm happy to let it roll out there. Let me, there we go. Good. Thank you guys so much for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye.